Welcome back. When a powerful publishing house and a glamorous actress clashed in a bitter legal battle over a book deal, it became a compelling courtroom drama and could have been written for a soap opera. The actress was Joan Collins, the publisher Random House. After 5 days of high drama and a performance which Alexis Carrington, her character in the hit television series Dynasty, would have been proud of, Joan Collins emerged victorious. Before I speak...
Hello, Selina.
You know, congratulations is a word that is so sweet, isn't it, after you've come out of the kind of drama that you've come out of recently?
It certainly is. I feel vindicated and I feel victorious, not only for myself, but for other writers too, because I think I was being used as an example by Random House to other writers, and they were basically saying, don't get out of line, otherwise we're going to do this to you. But I fought them back, and I won. I'm thrilled.
And how? I want to come back to it in a minute or two, but first of all I want to talk to you about your book, because you come out of this hellish courtroom drama, and here you are about to tour America promoting your book. You knew this was going to happen when you were there. I mean, hasn't it taken out so much out of you? Hasn't the whole procedure made it very difficult for you?
Well, the thing that was difficult was that I was so completely exhausted by the trial, but I went off and I managed to have a bit of a holiday in the sun, and then I started promoting the book in England. I did some signing sessions, and it's selling in paperback there, and it's selling very well. But because of all the interest in my books, that's why Dutton decided to bring me to America earlier than normal. So I've got an unbelievable tour, sort of in New York for 4 days, then crisscrossing America, literally going sort of up there, down there. America's pretty big, and then ending up in Los Angeles, and then coming back to London. So it's all in less than 2 weeks.
How do you do it, Joan? I have to ask you that. How on earth do you do it? You look fabulous. You have energy. You keep on doing these things. But how do you manage to look so good?
I think that I'm lucky enough to have picked the right parents, Selina. So I have had pretty good genes, and I take pretty good care of myself in terms of eating properly, getting enough sleep, and taking vitamins. That's what I really believe in. I wrote all that in my beauty book, My Secrets, which again was very, very successful. And I do believe in having a healthy and positive attitude, and that life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death. I ain't going to do that.
You went in front of the court and into that courtroom, and before you went in, there was a little moment that we all were aghast at when you said, "Look at me, I've not slept all night. Look at the bags under my eyes." And even though we tried hard to see, there was not a bag in sight, you see.
That's very sweet of you, but there certainly were. There were a lot of bags. You see, the thing that was so upsetting to me was the fact that this was a lawsuit about a contract. They were trying to break an ironclad contract. And the fact of the matter is that the only way they could do that was to trash my writing, which was a very, very ungallant and cowardly thing to do. Because having had 3-4 books in the bestseller list that have been sold tremendously well, both in England and America, to try and say that I can't write, that I write gibberish. And this is what they were doing. They were deliberately trying to intimidate me and to say, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do this, I'm too frightened, they can't say this about me. But I didn't. I stood up to them because I know that I write the kind of page-turning, entertaining books for pleasure, to read on a plane, on a beach, in bed at night, for relaxation, that I like to read. I'm not Salman Rushdie. I don't want to be. I don't like reading that kind of book anyway. I mean, he's a great literary figure. I'm not. I write, you know, like Too Damn Famous, books that women and men too really like to read, and I'm going to continue to do that.
How much of the books do you write? Because it all came down to that, didn't it? How much help you got from the editors, what your kind of style of writing was. It all came out in court.
Well, this was very interesting because the previous 2 books that I had written, I came up with the plots totally myself. Miss Joni Evans decided that she was going to come up with the plot for this book. And so since I was getting this huge advance, I said, okay, we'll go along with it. And when we were plotting the plot, I thought, this is awfully fanciful, Joni, this is a bit straight. Don't you think this is over the... No, it's wonderful. I said, well, I can do it. I love to write about a principality like Monaco and a character like Princess Grace. So we did, and it was then that she said, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I said, well, you know, your idea, many of your ideas, sort of 40% your ideas. But what I think did come out of that was that there are very many writers who sometimes have for example, Joni Evans worked with one particular household name writer for 6 weeks in his house in Bermuda. 6 weeks, totally going through the book. Now, I don't need 6 weeks, but I wouldn't mind having 3 days, because it's like anything else. Quentin Tarantino can't make a movie unless he can make the movie, he can shoot all the scenes, but he has to have his editor who objectively can say, I think the scene's too long, let's cut it, or let's put this scene here, let's juxtapose. And this is what happens in popular fiction with some writers. And I am honest enough to admit that I need an editor, and I had a wonderful editor in Rosie Cheetham with Too Damn Famous, who helped me tremendously and said, we want to read more about this character, we want to read less about this character, expand this, link this, cut this. It isn't that they write the books, which is what Mr. Callaghan tried to come out and say, you know, we don't, because they all admit, all editors admit, if they could write the books, if they could actually do the writing, they'd do it. But a good editor is, well, as Jeffrey Archer said, you neglect them at your peril, and I was deeply neglected by my editor.
They seemed to try to make you a scapegoat in the court. They tried to unsettle you and unnerve you, which you've been describing so well, but the chief prosecutor who stood there and said to you, have you no shame? I mean, that came as a shock, obviously, to you, but to a lot of people watching this, because this seemed to me to, or to a lot of people, to be, I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. This wasn't someone on trial for murdering someone. This was someone on trial for, in their view, not coming up with the goods.
Well, exactly. He had, what he was trying to do, you see, I can't remember who I had lunch with last week. Certainly I can't remember who I had lunch with 4 years ago. He was absolutely snowing me under with papers and depositions, 3 or 4 different depositions that he had in his hand, but that I did not have. And he was doing tests on me. And he caught me out in not a lie. And when I tried to explain, and I said, no, 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 just answer yes or no, witness, said the judge. So what actually happened was that he was trying to completely unsettle me and completely make me look like a fool, an idiot, a liar, and a perjurer, which I am not, any of the things. The editors were, the ones that got up and lied. They certainly lied their heads off. But I wasn't, and I do think that I was in a complete state of shock, because if somebody says that to you, normally one would have a riposte. One would be able to say, have you no shame? But I wasn't allowed. You know, it was shut up, witness, get done, and I was told to get done. And I was very upset by this time, because this isn't something, Selina, that's just happened in the past 2 weeks. This has been something that's been building up for 2.5 years. It's cost me a tremendous amount of money in legal fees. It's cost me a tremendous amount of heartache and a tremendous amount of real sort of gut-wrenching, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? I mean, we all know life isn't fair. Life is not fair. And this is, you know, compared to what's just happened in Dunblane, this is not a terrible thing. But at the time, this was very upsetting.
I mean, you've come through into the light now, and you are, with a new book, you're promoting this new book. Just let me ask you this. It's a pure coincidence, is it, that your heroine, Catherine Bennett, comes out of a court to face the paparazzi? It's the opening shot in your new book. That's purely coincidental.
It is completely coincidental, and it was written very much from life, because shortly, it was a few years after, I did go through a horrible, horrible divorce, in which I was sitting in the courtroom with the eyes of court TV on me, very much like I did in the New York Supreme Court a month ago. And so when I reread it, I thought, so much of this is exactly what happened to me last month. So much of this courtroom trial, and so much of this having to sit here and literally dig your fingers into your palms to stop yourself from showing any emotion, because I'm a very emotional person, and it's hard for me to keep a sort of blank face. All I could think about when the jury was debating was the jury made a mistake with O.J. Simpson, I think. So does the rest of the world. God, I hope they're not going to make a mistake with me, but they didn't.
They certainly didn't. Joan Collins, you're looking great. Well done. Again, congratulations, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.